or expanding. This kapat and kutinati, deviousness and hypocrisy are still there, fully or expanding. Raghunath Das Goswami says, when you indulge in this thing, it's like bathing in the urine of an ass. He is using such graphic language because who in their right mind will want to bathe in such a thing? We get so carried away with all these externals, with the influence of this deceit and this deviousness, this hypocrisy, that we actually think what we are doing is a spiritual life, the real thing. Raghunath Das Goswami says, no, this is not the real thing. This is just an S. What you are doing is entirely the wrong thing. This is not what you are meant to be indulging in or bathing in, because bathing means to be clean. He is using a bathing example for both the positive and the negative. As he says, Bhara khare sharam mutri snatva and sudham bodham snatva. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uses a bathing example when he says, Cheto darpan marjanam. We want to cleanse our hearts. It's a bathing process. Sarvatma snapanam. And it's the same here with the snapa. We want to cleanse our heart, cleanse our body. So, if we want to cleanse ourselves, if we want to bathe, are we going to use donkey urine to bath with? No matter how much we bathe with that, we simply get dirtier and stinkier, and ultimately no one will come near to us. Radha and Krishna are going to come close to someone who constantly bathes in this type of thing. Such persons are not very clean. They are not very nice to be around. Beyond that obvious point, Raghunath Das Goswami specifically uses this example because the symptom of an ass is its a stupid animal. Who associate with a stupid animal and will bathe in a stupid animal urine? Only another such stupid animal. Therefore, he is trying to wake us up. Why should we put ourselves in that situation? Why be so humiliated? The graphic language here, ek sharan. He not only says that it's just urine, but he said it's trickling. Trickling means that it is persistence, drop, 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 drop. It's disgusting, sin, and ultimately only a fool will do such a thing. Raghunath Das Goswami says that we should not be foolish and bathe ourselves in these things, thinking that anything good is going to come out of it. And he will make the last point, Shivram Swami Maharaj, so we will be looking forward to hear tomorrow. Too much is very difficult to digest it. So we'll go in a very sweet life of Srila Prabhupada. We are reading from the volume number 3. Chapter title is Swamiji disappear. So let's see where we left yesterday. I didn't mark it down somehow or other. What happened? Hmm. This is Mataji speaking, and I couldn't find the name of that, but let's see. She said, Swamiji looked up with amazement. You know, the one boy was really, and this Mataji bring her in front of Srila Prabhupada. That was really nice to give the Murshi like that. She said, Swamiji, you have to initiate this boy, unquote. I was just bowling and Swamiji began to laugh. He said, it's all right. Don't cry. Everything will be all right. Remember, this boy was crying and leaving this ashram, hoping that he is never going to get the Murshi. And I think this Mataji, when she saw him crying, she bring it in and just bring right in front of Prabhupada. He chanted on my beats and give me the name Jivananda. That's where we stop. And we know this life of Jivananda Prabhu. We should always offer our humble obeisances at the dusk of Jivananda Prabhu's lotus feet to give us tinge of the devotion, what he has. So we will continue. The next morning, Prabhupada had to leave his affectionate followers. Several cars filled with devotees accompanied him to the San Francisco airport. Nandarani, I don't know which Nandarani is that, but this is one of that when I went to Fiji, the GBC for the Fiji is Valsudev Prabhu, and his wife's name was also Nandarani. And I have the opportunity to spend some time with the family. So I don't know which Nandarani is. We will figure it out, or Krishna will give us. So Nandarani is saying this, describing this scene in her own words as follows. Some were sincere and some were crying because it was appropriate to cry when the spiritual master leaves. Actually, none of us really knew much about what the spiritual master was. How nice, just say from the heart. Janki mischievously stole the ticket and passport from Prabhupada's hand. Quote, now you can't go, she said. That's all right, he smiled. I already have my boarding ticket. I'm Indian. They will let me into my own country. Prabhupada turned to his adoring followers, gathered close around him at the boarding gate. Quote, actually, I have only one desire, and whoever does this will please me very much. Now, I have a temple in New York, in Montreal, and temple in San Francisco. But I do not have any temple in Los Angeles, unquote. He told them to remain in Krishna consciousness and to please preach. They watched as he turned and walked through the gate, his cane in one hand, boarding pass in the other. Now we are changing the scene. In New York, there was hardly time for sadness. Srila Prabhupada telegraphed Sri Krishna Pandit that his arrival in Delhi would be on July 24th at 7:30 a.m. and that Sri Krishna Pandit should prepare Prabhupada's quarter at the Chippiwada temple. You know, Prabhupada stays there for long. In the telegram, Prabhupada mentioned his intentions to consult a physician in Delhi and finally go to Vrindavan. He was anxious to return to Vrindavan. The day before his departure, Prabhupada wrote to Shumati Morarji. In reply to his last letter, she had agreed to provide free steamship passage to India for him, but not for his disciples. Quote, as I had arranged for your passage to America, she had written, quote, I think it is my duty to see that you return back to India safely. More so due to your indifferent health, unquote. But she should not allow free passage for any disciples. So on July 28th, Prabhupada wrote as follows. I'm feeling too much to return to Vrindavan, to the lotus feet of Vrindavan Bihari, Lord Sri Krishna. And therefore, I have decided to return to India immediately. I would have liked to return via sea, as you have so kindly offered me passage in your letter. But in my precarious state of health, that is not possible. So by the mercy of Krishna and through one friend here, somehow or other, I have received air passage. And I'm expecting to leave here from New Delhi on Saturday next, reaching the Pelham airport on 24th instant at 7:30 a.m. From there, I shall proceed to Vrindavan after a few days rest in Delhi. Prabhupada continued, I can understand that at present you cannot allow free passage to my disciple. But if you don't do so, at least in the near future, then my mission will be half finished or failure. I'm just enclosing one letter of appreciation for one of my principal students, Bruce Scott, from Professor Davis Heron, and another from Professor Robert of New York University. I think these letters will convince you how much my movement of Krishna consciousness is taking ground in the Western world. The holy name of Hare Krishna is now being chanted, not only in this country, but also in England, Holland, and Mexico, that I know of. It may be even more widespread. I have sent you one gramophone record, which I hope you may have received by this time. You will enjoy to learn how Krishna's holy name is being appreciated by the Western world. And we see in the morning, how Jia, 14-year-old girl, amazing girl, huh? She just want to accept to go to bed early, wake up early. That I have been looking that somehow or other some parent can help those children to put them into the right timing. And Jia will do extremely good in her life, no doubt about it. I wish her all the best. Achyutanand told Prabhupada he wanted to go to India to study intensively, gather experiences, and become attached to Krishna. He had heard Prabhupada say that one could become more Krishna conscious in two ways in Vrindavan than in 10 years in America. Haribol. Quote, do you think I'll be able to go? Achyutanand asked. Rest assured, Prabhupada told him, we will meet again in Braj. Devotee had been asking Satsaru to transfer his civil service job to Boston and open a Krishna conscious center there. They had also asked Rupanuga to go to do the same in Buffalo. Satsarup and Rupanuga approached Prabhupada to find out what he wanted. I think this Rupanuga is living in Dallas. I think that same Rupanuga Prabhu. He became very pleased. Subal was going to open a center in Santa Fe, he said, and Dayanand was going to Los Angeles. Haribol. Hare Krishna mantra is like a big cannon. He told them, quote, go and sound this cannon so everyone can hear it and it will drive away Maya, unquote. The devotees wanted to ask, quote, but what if you don't return, unquote. They were fearful. What if Krishna kept Swamiji in Vrindavan? What if Swamiji never returned? How could they survive against Maya? But Swamiji had already assured them that whatever Krishna consciousness he had given them would be enough, even if he never returned. Just 30 minutes before he had to leave for the airport, Prabhupada sat in his room chanting on the beats of a girl who had asked to be initiated. Then, as he had done many times before, he left his apartment, went downstairs, crossed the courtyard, and entered the storefront. Sitting on the old carpet, he spoke quietly and personally, quote, I may be going, but Guru Maharaj and Bhakti Vinod are here, unquote. He looked toward the painting of his spiritual master and Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Quote, I have asked them to kindly take care of all of you, my spiritual children. The grandfather always takes care of the children much better than the father. So do not fear. There is no question of separation. The sound vibration fixes us up together, even though the material body may not be there. What do we care for this material body? Just go on chanting Hare Krishna and we will be packed up together. You will be chanting here and I will be chanting there. And this vibration will circulate around this planet, unquote. Several devotees rode with Prabhupada in a taxi. Brahmananda in the front with the driver. Rayaram and Kirtananda in the back beside their spiritual master. Quote, when Kirtananda sees Vrindavan, Prabhupada said, quote, he will not be able to understand how I could have left that place and come to this place. It is so nice. There are no motor cars there like here, but now Vrindavan is also getting more modernized. Haribol. I think, I don't know, whoever we were talking, and they said how much degradation is happening. And right across from Krishna Balaram temple, you hear the Bollywood song rather than the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. What can be done? Okay. Yes. There are no motor cars there like here, rushing whoosh, whoosh, and smelling. Only there is Hare Krishna. Everybody always chanting. Thousands and thousands of temples. I will show you Kirtananda. We will walk all about there and I will show you. Unquote. Brahmananda began to cry and Prabhupada patted him on the back. Quote, I can understand that you are feeling separation. Unquote. He said, quote, I'm feeling for my Guru Maharaj. I think this is what Krishna desires. You may be coming there to me and be training up, and we will spread this movement all over the world. Rai Ram, you will go to England. Brahmananda, you want to go to Japan or Russia. That's all right. Haribo. The devotees converge on the Air India waiting room near a crowded cocktail lounge. Wearing a sweater, his chadar folded neatly over one shoulder, Prabhupada sat in a chair. His disciples sat as closely as possible around his feet. He held an umbrella, just as when he had first come along to Diok, almost 2 years ago. Although exhausted, he was smiling. Prabhupada noted a mural of Indian women carrying large jars on their heads, and he called the name of a young girl who had recently gone with her husband, Hansaduta, to join the ISKCON Center in Montreal. Hansaduta was the spiritual master, but then I think something happened. To join the ISKCON Center in Montreal, Himavati, would you like to go to India and learn to carry this water pot like the Indian woman? Yes, he said, I will go. Yes, Srila Prabhupada said, someday we will all go. Haribol. Kirtananda was carrying a portable battery-operated phonograph and 2 copies of the Hare Krishna mantra record. Could Kirtananda? Prabhupada asked. Why not play the record? They will enjoy. Kirtananda played the record very softly, its sound catching the attention of people in the cocktail lounge. Make it a little louder, Prabhupada asked. And Kirtananda increased the volume. Prabhupada began nodding his head, keeping time. Soon, the devotees began humming along with the record and then quietly singing until gradually they were singing loudly. Kirtananda, Brahmananda, and other devotees began to cry. So Hansaduta is explaining this situation in his own word as follows. I was sitting right next to Swamiji, and all the time I was thinking, oh, my spiritual master is going to India, unquote. And he said, quote, I want to die in Vrindavan, unquote. We all knew Swamiji was going, but now it was the last moment. I was also seeing that I hadn't done anything for my spiritual master. He doesn't even know who I am. I thought, there is no relationship. I must do something. I must do something now. I must show him in some way which will establish some place in his heart. Something. I was thinking, what can I do? I was crying, and he didn't even look at me. It was like I wasn't even there, just like a chair or something else. He was just always looking around and everything, and I was trying to catch his eyes. If all of a sudden he would say something. The kirtan was getting heavier and heavier, and so was the crying. And the people in the waiting were just looking at Swamiji like he was someone very special. And in the middle of it all, Swamiji was completely relaxed, as if this were his place and this was just a normal thing to do. Haribo. When the record ended, Hansadutta asked, quote, Swamiji, can I take a collection? Unquote. Prabhupada nodded. Hansadutta stood and made a little speech. Quote, our mission is to spread Krishna consciousness. We have a temple in New York. We are always badly in need of money. Please help us. Unquote. Borrowing a hat from one of the soldiers, Hansadutta went around taking a collection. Quote, our traveling is very auspiciously beginning, Prabhupada said. We had a nice kirtan and we had a nice collection. It is all Krishna's mercy. Always give credit to Krishna. Then it was time to board the plane. Prabhupada embraced each of his men. And we see that, some of these followers of Srila Prabhupada still follow that. Especially I have seen His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He will look into individual person's eyes and speak to them before he left. Sometimes it took him an hour to depart, but that's what they learned from Prabhupada. They stood in a line and one after another approached him and embraced him. He patted a few of the women on the head. So Rupanuga Prabhu is explaining this scene in his own word as follows. Swamiji was embracing the men, Kirtananda, Brahmananda, Gargamuni. I never expected that he would ask me to step forward. I didn't consider myself in the same category with the other devotees. Very nice quality, humble. So I was very much surprised when Swamiji motioned to me and spoke my name, Rupanuga. I got up and walked to Swamiji. It might have been 10 feet, but it seems like a long distance. I embraced him. And that embrace was the most memorable embrace of my life. Right away, I noticed Srila Prabhupada's strength. He was so strong. It was like embracing a young man, a man of my age. I was 27, and he seemed even stronger and younger than I. And he hugged me tightly, and I also embraced him very firmly. He was smaller than me in stature, so I instinctively buried my chin in the hollow of his left shoulder. While I was embracing him, I felt very blissful. And I felt a light. I felt there was a light, something bright and pure, some kind of energy emanating from my face. I opened my eyes and I saw Kirtananda watching. He was standing behind Swamiji, a few feet away. And I looked right into his eyes. And I was so happy and blissful that it reflected in him somehow. He broke into a big smile, smiled at me, and his eyes were very bright. It was it was as if some spiritual energy was actually emanating from me. That airport scene was a very important part of my life. Because for me, a person who always had difficulty in loving another person, Swamiji's living forced out a lot of love from my heart. I didn't even know was there. It's like becoming a spiritual person when you feel love really developing for the spiritual master. I was becoming a spiritual person. It was a tremendous outpouring of feeling of separation and grief at his departure. Because we all knew he was our life and soul. And to a person, none of us were sure we would ever see him again. Only two paragraphs, so even if it gets few minutes late, we should finish this. Accompanied by Kirtananda, whose head was shaven and who wore an inconspicuous black woolen suit, Prabhupada walked slowly toward the gate. As he disappeared from view, the devotees ran for the observation deck to get a last look at his departing plane. A gentle rain was washing the airfield as the devotee raced across the wet observation deck. There below were Prabhupada and Kirtananda walking toward their plane. Abandoning decorum, the devotees began to shout. Prabhupada turned and waved. He climbed the movable stairwell, turning again at the top and raising his arms, and then entered the plane. The devotees chanted wildly while the boarding step moved away. The door closed and the plane began to run. The devotees had pressed close to the rail, but they pulled back as the jet exhaust blasted them with heat. With a great roar, the Air India jet, lights blinking, taxied out to the runway. The devotees continued to chant Hare Krishna until the plane left the ground, become a speck in the sky, and then finally disappeared. So we should end here, perfectly timed. Devotee may have to do other services and duties, so we don't want to hold them. We would like to offer our humble obeisances at their lotus feet. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kipasindubhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much for joining this beautiful morning. As Jia says, that it's full so